Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Larry Roeder, Friday the 17th of July, with international news in English, followed by news in Spanish by Juan. Our first story tonight comes from France, in Paris, where France locked for nearly 3 weeks in what is being called an embassy war with Iran, broke diplomatic relations today with the Islamic Republic. The announcement came 2 days before the end of a deadline announced by Iran Thursday to break diplomatic relations if France did not remove a police ring posted around the Iranian embassy since June the 30th. France responded by increased police reinforcements Thursday night. The Interior Ministry confirmed reports today that Iranian diplomats were being stopped from leaving France and have been banned from leaving since last Saturday. London. A British Airways Boeing 747 jetliner flying from London to Los Angeles nearly collided with a Royal Air Force Hercules transport plane over Scotland. The national circulation British Daily said 300 people were aboard British Airways flight number 238 when it climbed at 600 miles per hour into the path of the Hercules over the city of Carlisle on Wednesday. The paper did not say how many people were aboard the Hercules, but such planes normally carry military hardware and a crew of 3 or 4. The Boeing swerved to avoid the tail of the Hercules, and the two aircraft passed within 200 yards of each other at an altitude of 26,000 feet. Cairo. Egypt is studying a request for asylum by 3 Libyan helicopter crewmen who landed at an Egyptian base in the third such incident this year. After the Soviet-made Mi-8 helicopter landed Thursday, its pilot, Captain Mohammed El-Fari, co-pilot Saeed Abdul Kafi, and technician Mohammed Saeb asked permission to stay as political refugees. A foreign ministry and military officials refused to discuss the request. But ministry officials did say it was being considered by the appropriate officials for a political decision. At least 3 Libyan officers, including 2 lieutenant colonels, were granted asylum in the first 2 incidents, both of which occurred last March. Grand Bornano, France. Rescue workers digging through debris left after a flash flood and mudslides demolished a campground recovered more bodies yesterday, bringing to 23 the number of people killed. 14 other casualties were missing, according to the Haute-Savoie regional government. The Environment Ministry's representative for high risks told the Associated Press in Paris that an investigation on the campsite had been in progress before the catastrophe. Rescue workers in rubber rafts and helicopters resumed searching the riverbed of the Bourne, which runs through the campsite early yesterday for the bodies of victims of the Tuesday disaster. Tel Aviv. The first official Soviet visitors to Israel in 20 years allowed photographers to snap pictures of them in swimsuits, invited angry protesters into their hotel for a chat, and stumbled over Hebrew with good humor in public. In the first 5 days in Israel, the 8 Soviet consular delegates have won praise with the Disarming Charm campaign that has both provided Israelis with an up-close glimpse of Soviet glasnost, or openness, and left them hoping for more. But the Soviets have cautioned against growing speculation that a renewal of diplomatic ties could be imminent. The delegation is in Israel to document Soviet citizens and make an inventory of Soviet property. Halifax, Nova Scotia. A Spanish skipper who deposited 174 Sikh Indians in a foggy Nova Scotia cove has been sentenced to 30 days in jail and fined $1,900. Castor LaSalle, 34, a seaman for 17 years, pleaded guilty Wednesday to violating Canada's immigration laws by dropping the refugees near the fishing village of Charlesville on Sunday. A Marine official said Wednesday that he called off a search for a rumored second ship carrying aliens to Nova Scotia. Immigration spokesman Wayne Piercy said it is unlikely that a second ship was involved in the plan. The aliens, 173 men and 1 woman from India, are being questioned at a Halifax military base by immigration officials. It is unknown when they will be allowed to leave the base. Seoul, South Korea. The toll of dead and missing from Typhoon Thelma rose to nearly 240 today, as more than 100,000 emergency workers dug through rubble and mud and searched the seas for shipwrecked sailors. The local media said faulty forecasting was partly responsible for the high toll from the storm, the worst to hit South Korea in almost 30 years. The National Disaster Center in Seoul said today that 78 deaths had been confirmed and 161 people were still missing in the wake of the tempest that lashed the southern coast early yesterday. The Center say casualty figures were expected to rise. The typhoon, which unleashed floods and mudslides and battered a region with 80-mile-per-hour winds, was the worst since 1959, when a storm left 849 people dead and more than 373 people homeless. Washington. Rear Admiral John Poindexter faced new questions on how the government can conduct foreign policy if Congress is misled and the president kept ill-informed. Poindexter told the congressional committees yesterday that neither Attorney General Edmund Meese III or former White House Chief of Staff Don Regan ever asked him whether he knew about or approved the diversion of Iran arms sales profits to Nicaraguan Contra rebels. Asked if Meese or Regan ever inquired whether he had told President Ronald Reagan about the diversion, Poindexter said he couldn't recall that they had. He earlier told the committees he approved it without Reagan's approval. In his first 2 days of testimony, Poindexter basically told his actions concerning the secret arms sale to Iran and the diversion of proceeds to the Contras. The Philippines. Former President Ferdinand Marcos may be unable to pay lawyers' fees and may demand the right to defend himself in a $22 billion lawsuit filed against him by the Philippine government. The Presidential Commission on Good Government sued Marcos and his family Thursday as part of its effort to regain billions of dollars the government alleges Marcos stole during his 20 years in power. Commission officials said lawsuits were expected to be filed later today with a special anti-graft court against former associates of the deposed president. Lawyer Rafael Recto told reporters he had spoken with Marcos today by telephone from Hawaii, where he has lived since his ouster in February of 1986. And that concludes the international news in English, and now we have local news. But first we have a change in color. Let's follow this now. Da 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 da. You guessed it, folks, it's toga time. And tonight is the toga party at the Canadian Club. It starts at 8:30, runs to 1 a.m. I'm going to see all of you there at the Canadian Club. It's going to be great. The Canadians always have wonderful parties, and I'm going to be there in red tonight at 8 o'clock at the Canadian Club. You gotta go. And now the rest of the grapevine. The film at the Sinai Cinema tonight are The American Ninja. We all seen that on television, and Godzilla 1985. These films get underway at 19:30 hours. Now, all those that are going with me to Moses Valley tomorrow morning after you've survived the toga party should meet me at 07:30 hours at the MDF. Now, you should bring lots of water, bring good walking shoes, bring a hat and sunglasses and suntan lotion. It's going to be very hot and lots of sun. Remember, tonight is steak night at the Senior NCO Club. Steak and a film on the patio. Critics Corner returns this week with one of the world's most famous films. And I can tell you what it is. You had to watch Critics Corner on Thursday night around 7 o'clock. But I will tell you this, that many critics have considered this the best film ever made. And clearly, I think it's one of the best films ever made. You've got to see it. This Thursday, watch Critics Corner. August the 3rd is MFO Day. Hey, we got lots of activities planned for you that day. There'll be an outdoor picnic, a full evening of entertainment, including a European band, Egyptian folklore dancing, a magician, and a belly dancer. There'll also be a big raffle for big dollars. Raffle tickets are available now at the Morale Support Office in Building 48.1. That's Building 48.1, Room 113, Extension 2004. Again, this is MFO Day. You want to get out to have a good time, so call Extension 2004 to find out about the good activities planned for you. Jack has quite a number of items for sale, including Boss speakers, a tape recorder, an amplifier, Toshiba TV, Sears VCR, blank VCR cassettes, a bicycle, and many other items. If you're interested, call Jack on extension 3634. That's extension 3634. Now, there's going to be a special church service for the outgoing LSU rotation at 19:30 hours tonight at the chapel. All personnel are invited to participate in this service, but you best get going if you're going to go, because the starting time is 19:30 hours. About the belly dancer, scheduled for tomorrow night, unfortunately we must report that the belly dancer performance has been canceled. A reminder, the Alcoholics Anonymous meets every Tuesday and Friday evening at 19:30 hours in the VIP room of the dining facility. And finally, tonight, and I want to get off my toga for this to be respectable, we want to say farewell to Juan Velazquez. Juan has been doing broadcasting here for the Colombians in Spanish for some time now. We very much enjoyed him. We think he's a very professional broadcaster, and we hope he goes back to Colombia and is going to be quite successful. You're going to see him in a few minutes, and if you want to see a really good news performance in Spanish, this is something you ought to see. It's flawless, he doesn't make very many mistakes, he's a truly professional. And just in a second now, here's Juan. Till then, good evening.
Quiero agradecer mucho aquí a todo el personal de la televisión, a Sargento Skip, a Tony, mi camarógrafo, a todas las personas que apoyaron la realización de este noticiero en español, la idea de mi capitán Hernández Félix, que todos ustedes se acuerdan. Muchas gracias por el apoyo de parte de mi coronel Conde. Muchas gracias a los otros soldados del relevo 19, Armando Santa Cruz, Juan Gómez. Muchas gracias a Carlos Ángel, que en esta oportunidad no está aquí. Él tuvo que salir del programa por razones de trabajo. Muchas gracias a ustedes. Perdonen las equivocaciones. Esto fue improvisando, tratamos de hacerlo mejor. Bueno, hasta el lunes con Armando Santa Cruz o Juan Gómez. Que pasen buen fin de semana. Les deseo buena suerte acá en el Sinai y muchas gracias.
Don't go off the air yet. Juan, it's been a pleasure working with you. And all the TV staff has really enjoyed working with you. Why don't we all get back here and say goodbye to Juan? You know, in the States, we often give people a Hershey bar when they do a good job. We couldn't find one, but here's a Cadbury fruit bar. Let's all say goodbye to Juan.
Thank you.
Thanks for working with us, Juan.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, right. That's right. Buenos noches.